Would you like to be wise? Jesus explained two things that identify the wise. And hint, it's not about what you know. Jesus said, the wise hear and obey me. Good morning and welcome to the 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about an easy-to-remember soundbite version of what Jesus said. The point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And today's Jesus said comes from Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 27. But for context, we're going to start in verse 21. So starting in 21, it says, "Not everyone who calls out to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of my Father in heaven will enter. On judgment day, many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, we prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and performed many miracles in your name.' But I will reply, 'I never knew you. Get away from me, you who break God's laws.' Anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. Though the rain comes in torrents and the flood waters rise and the winds beat against that house, it won't collapse because it's built on bedrock." So that's the good news. That's where wisdom is. But it continues in verse 26 saying, "But anyone who hears my teaching and doesn't obey it is foolish, like a person who builds a house on sand. When the rains and floods come and the winds beat against that house, it will collapse with a mighty crash." So here's the bad news. That's where the foolishness is. So this is kind of a difference. You know, we have East versus West in our lives because modern Western logic is information is wisdom. But Jesus's, Eastern logic is application is wisdom. So with today's world events, we read about crazy things happening. This leads to revelation for a lot of people. And if we look at a couple of passages that relate to this, in Revelation chapter 14, verse 12, it says, "This requires the steadfast endurance of the saints, those who obey God's commands and hold to their faith in Jesus." So this is talking about how you make it through the end times. That scary book that a lot of people don't want to read, but basically saying how you make it through tough times, all the tough times, the really hard times that are going to be a part of Revelation and maybe what we're experiencing now. So he's saying, how do you do it? You obey God's commands and hold to the faith in Jesus. So did you know that's the key to being blessed? And then it continues in Revelation 1:3, just a different place. It says, "Blessed is the one who reads the words of this prophecy aloud, and blessed are those who hear and obey the things written in it, because the time is near." Again, repeating what Jesus said. Blessed are those who hear and obey. So this is the difference between temporary and eternal. A contrast of flesh and spiritual things. What kind of structure are we building? How are you living your life? Are you living it wisely or foolishly? It's really that simple. What are you worried about? What are the things that you're focused on in life? Is it just the things that you have, or is it the things that you're doing for Christ? The things that you're obeying that he's told you to do. So we read where Paul is talking about who gets the credit for kingdom growth and the eternal consequences. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 11 through 18, it says, "For no one can lay any foundation other than the one we already have, Jesus Christ. Anyone who builds on that foundation may use a variety of materials, gold, silver, jewels, wood, hay, or straw. But on judgment day, fire will reveal what kind of work each builder has done. The fire will show if a person's work has any value. If the work survives, that builder will receive a reward. But if the work is burned up, the builder will suffer great loss. The builder will be saved, but like someone barely escaping through a wall of flames." So I don't fully understand this, to be honest. I mean, reading this, it kind of sounds like maybe you're both building on, Jesus, but one is maybe a little more focused and one's not. But it's talking about, barely even escaping. So that's not something I really want to do. I want to be as close as I can. So, I want to do exactly what he's saying. So in verse 16, he continues, he said, "Don't you realize that all of you together are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God lives in you? God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. So stop deceiving yourselves. If you think you are wise by this world's standards, you need to become a fool to truly be wise, or to be truly wise." So wisdom has only one standard: Jesus. It's not what the world says. It's not anything else but Jesus. Where are you getting your advice from? These are things you need to ask yourself, because God's going to destroy anything that's not Jesus. God's going to destroy anything that's built on any other foundation than him. And that's some serious business. That's not something to joke about or take lightly. And wisdom, again, Jesus said, "The wise hear and obey me." So it's not just what you know, but what you do. What are you building on? What are you laying as the groundwork for your life and all your actions? Are you like the world, foolish, or are you like Jesus, wise? So again, it's not about what you say only, but it's actually, are you doing the will of the Father in heaven? The wise hear and obey me. This is what Jesus said. So how can you put that into action today? How can you make sure that your life is built on Jesus and nothing else? How can you make sure that your life and everything you do for the Lord in this lifetime is going to withstand, that burning that God is talking about in Revelation, that it's going to stand that test of, is this actually built on Jesus or on something else? So thank you so much for listening. Hope you like, comment, and share. If you want to follow along with us, we all read the Bible together at bible.today.church. Again, I hope this has been meaningful to you. I hope this has taught you maybe a little bit something you didn't know about wisdom. And I really appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day. And I really hope this is helping you to live your life to the fullest the Jesus way. So remember to follow Jesus today. And we end everything by saying, love first. Thank you, guys.